Hello everyone and welcome back to round 23 and the penultimate weekend of our F125 Aston Martin Driver Career Mode. Yes, we return here to Losail and the Qatar Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live at the weekend from Las Vegas, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We got robbed by Charles Leclerc late on in the day. Yes, battling for the win. Leclerc made a mistake, hit the wall, put me in a separate wall, and we got a puncture with like 3 laps to go, which was absolutely devastating. Luckily, we did still get the car to the finish line, and we did still pick up some points in the World Championship. But things are looking very, very tight towards the end of the year. Thanks to Leclerc's escapades, he now has a 4-point lead over us in the Drivers' Championship. There is just a 5-point gap between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in the battle for the crown as well. Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton still not a million miles away either, but I want to finish P3 come the end of the year. Constructors-wise, I think we've mathematically guaranteed now P4 in the Constructors' Championship. I believe there's 101 points available between now and the end of the season. Mercedes are 109 behind, Ferrari are like 155 ahead, so there's not really a lot that can happen in terms of that championship. I just want to see Alonso get past Ocon and Antonelli by the end of the year as well. Taking a look at vehicle performance, as you can see, we're a little bit behind Mercedes now. We are really focusing on making sure the car is ready for next season as well. Of course, a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support on the channel. We are getting very, very close to 11,000 subscribers at the moment. So if you are enjoying the content, please do make sure you hit that sub button. And yeah, let's get on with it then. A sprint weekend here. We've got a lot of racing, so we've just got to dive in.
It's all about flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar. A high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
Well, heading out into qualifying then, I know we shouldn't read too much into free practice data, but Fernando Alonso, fastest of anybody out in free practice, so hopefully that's a good omen, although it was obviously only the 1-hour session, of course. But as we head out into qualifying then, of course, first and foremost, with it being a sprint weekend, we've got to do our lap on the mediums before we do our lap on the softs. I expect the mediums, though, to hang on pretty well around the lap. The softs might really begin to struggle. But yeah, this circuit has often been a happy hunting ground for me as well. I try not to predict what the car will be like too much inside this series, as I'm sure you all are well aware. But hopefully it's going to be good. Obviously, it is a really high downforce circuit here at Losail, so we just ran a little bit wide through there. But purple in Sector 1 to get towards the end then of Sector 2, starting just to drain a little bit more battery out of the tank. 1.1 seconds up on the provisional time set by Gabriel Bortoleto. Max Verstappen, though, has just rocketed to top spots so far in qualifying, as, I mean, those corners are easy flat out in this Aston Martin, so providing us with some good grip around the lap. 5 minutes left on the clock, though, so we are going to have to hurry up with it, ready to get our second run. But a 1:21.2 puts us P2. I'm not going to complain, but we have seen it quite a few times this year in IRL Formula 1 that the medium actually ends up being a very, very competitive qualifying tyre, so maybe that's been the same case today then, as everybody back out ready for their final runs. But as we well know, the first run here really does matter, because it's unlikely that the AI are going to be able to find time doing 2 laps on the same set. So Lando Norris, he might be in real trouble as we head into the sprint race. Nowhere near Max Verstappen, who is currently fastest then, but immediately just finding a little bit more time through turn 1 and through turn 2. Surely we could be in the fight for pole position today as we make our way up the hill. Don't even bother downshifting, or actually, yeah, needing to towards the exit of the corner, just to like keep the car between the white lines. And half a second up on Max Verstappen in Sector 1 then. This car has got the grip here, but it is just how well these mediums will hang on through the second half of the lap. Really doesn't look like we're seeing any other improvements coming in. Lewis Hamilton just ahead of Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc right behind me. There was always slight misjudgment through the end of Sector 2. 6 tenths up though right now, and surely we're going to have a healthy margin over Verstappen. Still half a second up on the Dutchman as we make a slight misjudgment through the first part of the S's. The tyres, though, have done a very, very good job to hang on all the way around to here then. One more corner to go. Is this going to be sprint pole position here in Qatar, making our way through, get the power down on the run towards the line. 7 tenths up on my previous lap. Yes, it is. There we are then. Pole position here, 1.2 seconds clear of our teammate Fernando Alonso. Max Verstappen, though, will line up in second, 6 tenths ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, looks like myself and the Dutchman then, leagues above everybody else here. Lando Norris, he's all the way down in P9, so he's going to have a lot of work to do. But Alonso just up inside your point-scoring positions in 8th there. But what will happen as we head into the sprint race, the AI, they often struggle in qualifying and they're then a bit better in race trim, but Verstappen looks relentless.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. So we're back here in Losail and this is the track map. 3.34 miles, 16 turns and just one DRS zone out of turn 16. It's already a fast and flowing track after all. There's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS though, through the long straight and into turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Piastri, Charles Leclerc and Tsunoda, Albon, Fernando Alonso, Norris and Carlos Sainz, Gasly, Russell, Jack Doohan and Ocon, Antonelli, Hulkenberg, Gabriel Bortoleto and Liam Lawson, Behrman and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, hopefully the sprint race tonight should be a little bit of formality. Not on a set of soft compound tyres, though. Absolutely no confidence in that they will make it to the end. So we're going to bolt on a set of mediums. And maybe now immediately, I'm going to eat my words there because I expect the AI to be very, very quick if they're on softs. But I also expect those tyres to fall off very, very quickly. We've got a little bit of knowledge, though, on the mediums, especially in qualifying trim. So hopefully we can do quite well. And it looks like there is a split strategy going on. 5 red lights are on as well. Oh, I need his lights out, and away we go then. I mean, the most difficult thing is going to be holding off Verstappen and Hamilton. Looks like Verstappen hasn't started well, but Lewis Hamilton has. On the run in towards the one there, the Ferrari making it down the inside and not really making a lot we could do in that scenario there through turn 1 and turn 2. Then Verstappen also trying to look for it, but Hamilton, he will know his best plan of attack today is going to be try and build up a nice early lead as quickly as he possibly can there, as running ever so slightly wide up through the top of the circuit as we plunge then down in towards turn 4, turn 5 and turn 6 then already. Leclerc and Piastri having a bit of a battle further behind, and that might give you top 3 just a little bit of breathing room early on there for Verstappen. You know, this isn't the worst scenario in the world. He will just want to head to Abu Dhabi with as much of a lead over Lando Norris in the World Championship as he possibly can. It looks like Lando has actually had a good start there. It is up to P6 on lap 1. So very, very interesting to kind of see how things have planned out very early on. But for us, though, the goal is simple. Stay in the range of Hamilton, wait for those soft compound tyres to hopefully hit the cliff, and then towards, well, the end of the stint, we can try and capitalise there. Clearly, even with sprint fuel, yeah, that final corner of kind of those long flowing ones is not flat out, but luckily we'll get away with it. We've got yellows, who's that? Oh, we got a spinner at the back. That might be a safety car or even a red flag then in this sprint race. I think they've all managed to get going again. It's just an Alpine there stricken in the middle of the road. Luckily they have got going, because of course a safety car would really, really harm us in this race. But Lando Norris then has already made his way up to P4, and he's trying to close in on Verstappen, myself, and Hamilton. Not sure I'll be able to get there, but yeah, Lewis really does pull away through the first part of the S's. Just does not have the grip through the seconds, so yeah, we're doing well. We're just staying in his range at the moment. Like I said, this is one of those sprint races where you've got to be patient and wait for the pace to come to us. Well, I tell you what then, I think we're now starting to see the switch between the soft and the medium here as Lewis Hamilton beginning to struggle as we get to half distance in this sprint race. One of the only soft compound runners that looks to still be pretty quick is actually Lando Norris here, who's still closing in on his championship rival Max Verstappen. To the outside though, Hamilton, will go in towards turn 1. Hamilton, I think, wanted to prolong the turn in a little bit more than I wanted to. Down round is outside, but up into P1 we will go. And now we just got to try and run away as quickly as we can. Well, we have tried to use a little bit of battery this lap just to push on and try and continue extending that gap over Lewis Hamilton just behind. But what I'm going to be really interested in is whether Leclerc and Oscar Piastri can carve their way back through some of those soft compound runners as well. Lando Norris getting very close now to the DRS range of Verstappen, but Hamilton, he seems to have completely fallen apart here, as we will go purple in the final sector and almost set another new fastest lap. We've got yellows. Who's breaking down? Oh, it's Leclerc! Charles Leclerc, who's dominated in a couple of the races recently, does me some good in the World Championship, but Charles Leclerc then, going to be our first driver out of the night. Most likely means he'll take some penalties as well into the real GP. But Verstappen then, he seems to have pulled away as Hamilton really beginning to struggle here. Piastri now all over the back of Lando Norris. Do they tell the Australian just to help his teammate out? Or do they let him through and just try to attack Max? Well, about to start the final lap then of this sprint race here. And, well, this one for us has been pretty textbook. Obviously lost that lead at the start, but we knew it should come back to us later on. The only concern, of course, has been the left front tyre where... But Verstappen and Lando Norris then wheel to wheel behind me. Surely Lando going to get the DRS on the Dutchman back in towards turn 1. And despite starting, 7 positions behind him, it looks like Lando Norris in just 10 laps here is going to get the jump on Max Verstappen. We've got more yellow flags out as a Sauber just starting the very last lap. Seems to have broken down as well, so not too sure what has happened to them. But Lando Norris, though, what a drive this has been back through the field in the sprint race today. And, well, if he's able to hang on to that spot, it should mean that no matter where Verstappen, as long as he doesn't win the sprint, as long as he doesn't win the GP, that championship fight will go on to our season finale. Hulkenberg, though, out of the race now very late on in the day, so there has been quite a lot of drama, but all of it has happened behind us here. It's given us good data as well that we know the medium should be able to force a one-stop strategy as we get into the proper race as well then. But through the final few corners here in Losail, this has pretty much been the dream start to the weekend, and hopefully, after we got denied by Leclerc last time, surely Sunday could be our day as well. Through the final corner, it is going to be sprint race success here in Qatar. You love to see it. But there we are then, 5.3 seconds clear at the checkered flag, but we have done it ahead of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen there. Oscar Piastri will come through for 4th ahead of Hamilton. The Ferrari looked good early on, just completely fell apart when all is said and done. Carlos Sainz just ahead of Tsunoda and Albon. A disappointing day for Alonso, who failed to score any points yet again. But further down the order as well, Antonelli, a pretty bad one for him. Isaac Hadjar from the rear of the field to P15, with just Leclerc and Hulkenberg, who failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our standings? Well, it means now Verstappen, that gap cut down by another point as we head into the real GP. We are back to 3rd, though, 4 points ahead of Charles Leclerc. But you can still see Oscar Piastri not too far behind. Hamilton will need a big result as we head into the real GP. But before that, we've got qualifying.
It's all about flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar. A high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
Well, now we've got a couple of sets of the soft compound tyre. We can really go for it here in real qualifying. A slight electrical fault, though, on the car has meant that it's basically given everybody else an opportunity to get a lap on the board before we head back out there. And, well, if qualifying's anything to go by, even the sprint, we're looking pretty good. So I think everybody... hopefully will be denied pole position, apart from myself. But obviously I don't even know what time Verstappen's done. I would assume it's him up the top of the order. Lando Norris, though, must be carrying some confidence as we head into the Grand Prix qualifying. There we go, the Dutchman at 21.3. That's slower than we all managed in sprint qualifying. The sun has set, though, so I wonder if for real qualifying there's a bit less grip on the circuit. Not slowing us down though. Purple in Sector 1 again. There we go, Lando Norris. That's a more competitive lap time than we were expected to see from the AI, a 120.6. Purple in Sector 1 though for us. Green in Sector 2. As we just try and flick the car through. I mean, it's got so much grip. 170 miles an hour through there. And the front end just bites. But get the power down at the final corner. Use up all that exit curb. We are going to obliterate Lando's time. No, we're not. We go 22 thousandths of a second slower. Maybe I shouldn't have got too confident. I'm sure Lando Norris will be looking to try and make an improvement here on his final qualifying run. We're just going to try and make sure we've got all of the available battery in the pack here, because even using a little bit out of the final corner before we've started the lap might make the difference. As we get towards the start-finish line, open up the DRS, stop using the battery, and immediately... I mean, we need 200ths of a second based on the first runs. I found 800ths by the time we get down in towards Turn 1. That being said, though, our first lap was quite competitive here, so how will we fare as we try and go back out for another lap of anger? Already a tenth and a half up. By the time we make our way up towards the top of the circuit, flick the car in, down one gear through the first part, leave it in sixth through the second there, and just about hang on to it between the white lines. Even faster still through Sector 1. And we'll just try and again be a bit strategic here. Use just a little dabble of battery through various places around this lap. Really getting the car rotated though over the curbing through Sector 2. It's actually Sector 3 where we've been weak against those McLaren cars so far. Hanging the car again though, right on the limits as we make our way up in towards those final few corners. I'm going to leave it in 7th gear this time round, and hopefully it'll just carry the speed through the corners. And there we go, you can see that time just coming back to us a little bit more here, completely flat out, as we are all well aware. But one more corner to go then. Is this going to be pole position ready for the Qatar GP? I don't even know if we've taken a pole this year. I guess we technically did back at Belgium, but quarter of a second up, that is P1. There we go, by quarter of a second there, faster than Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri will line up in P3, just ahead of George Russell. Max Verstappen, he'll be a bit disappointed down in P5, slower than he went in sprint qualifying. But again, Alonso, he will line up 8th. Struggled in the sprint. Hopefully he's going to have a bit more pace in the real qualifying, in the real GP. Esteban Ocon just ahead of Hamilton and Andrea Kimi Antonelli. But 29 laps ahead of us. This is going to be a real tyre killer, so we've just got to stay out of trouble.
Welcome back to Qatar and the Lusail International Circuit. There's a long history of two-wheeled motorsport action here, but in 2021, Lewis Hamilton won out as part of an epic battle that year with Max Verstappen. But who will win out tonight? We're back here in Lusail for a track that's 3.34 miles long. There are 16 turns around its unique three-pronged shape and just a single DRS zone out of turn 16. It's fast and it's flowing, and there's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS down the long straight and into turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda and Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Norris, Albon, Gabriel Bortoleto and Hülkenberg, Doohan, Lawson, Isaac Hadjar and Lewis Hamilton. Sainz and Ollie Behrman rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Well, I must admit, I did expect Fernando Alonso to be a little bit more competitive throughout the course of this season, but I think our teammate has had a fair amount of bad luck as well throughout the course of the championship. The one-stop strategy looks to be the way to go, but honestly, I reckon double mediums and then a set of hards at the end, especially when we've got pace. We saw how the mediums towards the end of the sprint were really struggling. Like I said, we know we've got a couple of extra tenths in the back pocket over pretty much everybody else here. I'd rather be quicker more often than really struggling and having to manage those tyres as well. So I think we're going to opt for a 2-stop today, and fingers crossed it can pay off for us. Top 3 on mediums. Lando Norris with grid penalties. It's 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. I think Verstappen and Tsunoda. They've surely got to be on a on a two-stop strategy in this race today. There was Verstappen actually trying to make it 3 wide down at turn 1 with Oscar Piastri and myself. Luckily, they're able to spot that nice and tidily, and we will hang on to our grid position early on. Again, Verstappen, though, he'll be looking to try and carve his way right to the front and build up a little bit of an early lead if he possibly can here. We know what we need to do. We just need to try and stay cool, calm, and collected, and hopefully win number 4 going to be on the cards by the end of tonight. Now, obviously, I know we have been comparing against Hamilton and Jacques Villeneuve's 4 wins apiece in their rookie campaigns. Yes, we have had more races to do so, but we've also definitely had a less competitive car than either of them had as well. So, obviously, both of their cars either won or came within 1 point of winning the Formula 1 World Championship. Ours definitely isn't this season, no matter how much we try and pick up as many points as possible towards the end of the campaign as well here. But throwing the car through this final sector, yeah, you're going to need a big blend through there to make sure we keep the car planted and inside track limits. Will we see Verstappen, though, try and get a run on me back in towards turn 1 there? I might want to try and keep the Dutchman at bay a little bit longer, because it is ideal not having the dirty air on the car. As Verstappen, I mean, he is closing in on me a little bit. He's just going to get a run. He's actually lurking in the shadows there on the run in towards turn 1, but we will hold firm. So, I've only just realised on the minimap, Lando Norris, he's had a disastrous lap 1, and he's into the pit lane then, so he's not going from bad to worse here. Remember, if Verstappen doesn't win, that title fight is guaranteed to go on into Abu Dhabi next weekend, so Lando Norris, he will be praying now that Verstappen doesn't win, because he is definitely on the back foot. Well, riding on board then with Lando Norris at the start of this Grand Prix, it is a very, very small amount of contact that does the damage for him. 4 wide just in front as we make our way into turn 1. You can just see Alonso. They just meet in the middle. Somehow our teammate gets away with no front wing damage there. But Lando Norris, yeah, losing a huge, huge chunk. I think it was, yeah, Kimi Antonelli as well, who lost an end plate as well. You can see flying off through turn 1, but chaos behind at the start of the Grand Prix. Luckily for us, we will hang on, though, out in front. This is very, very useful early on. Oscar Piastri now trying to have a look for a run back past Max Verstappen in this race.
Everything's looking good.
So clearly trying to do his teammate a little bit of a favour here, and well, he's forced Max back. They've lost about a second through about 3 corners there, and already now then up to a 2.5 second lead at the front of the order. Hopefully this means nobody's going to get any DRS off of us, and we can just pull away and let them all battle. Well, I am staggered. For someone like Max Verstappen here, who already suffered on a set of these soft compound tyres in the sprint race yesterday, what on earth were Red Bull thinking? Trying to do the same strategy again here. Oscar Piastri now is comfortably getting away from him. Charles Leclerc as well has already got past Yuki Tsunoda and probably will be getting past Max pretty soon. So yeah, the Dutchman, I mean, Red Bull are basically doing their best to throw him away the World Championship at the moment. Luckily for them, Lando Norris is their only rival, and he's throwing away his championship hopes in even better or worse. I don't know. We've got yellows. Oh, it's Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda then going for a spin, so we saw Jack Doohan manage that in the sprint race. Luckily, Yuki looks like he's got off of the racing line before anybody else gets there, but another disappointing error in what has been a tough, tough year for the Japanese driver. He's let Fernando Alonso by, so that helps him out in the championship, but yeah, we're basically just waiting for the pit-in lap now, as these tyres already, you can see, almost 40% after 6 laps. I would not want to take them twice this distance. I would argue then, so far, race tyre wear has been even worse than what it was in the sprint yesterday, I guess, because obviously we're all on a lot more fuel and everything else. There's a lot more pressure through those tyres as well, and not a chance I would want to take these another 3 laps here. Verstappen must be really, really struggling as well on his soft compound, already down to P4 there, and he's got a bit of a buffer just ahead of George Russell. But I'm going to be intrigued. Will Leclerc, will Piastri, anybody like that, attempt to make the one-stop work? Maybe they've just tried to look after their tyres. I think Oscar Piastri is doing a very good job here of just managing things. I mean, you can see the blistering on that front left already as we try and make our way in towards these final few corners of this stint there. Yep, team want to see him at the end of this lap, and well, unless we get a badly timed safety car or something like that, I still think we're, playing the safer strategy today. Hopefully we will reap the rewards towards the end of the afternoon. Nice and tidy on pit lane entry then, and we will relinquish the lead to Oscar here as Verstappen. Surely he's not one-stopping on a set of soft compound tyres. That'll be utterly ridiculous if he can make that work.
Okay, go, go, go. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Well, there we go. Yuki Tsunoda into the pit lane as well then, as we are going to re-emerge just outside of your top 10. I can see Kimi Antonelli causing a big train further behind, so we want to make sure we're ahead of him. So we just let Liam Lawson through as well then, ahead of Gabriel Bortoletto. Hamilton finding a way around Antonelli. He's having a pretty tough day out of it as well, but I mean instantly, look at how much more grip we've got than Liam Lawson. As we make our way out in the pit lane, we've got to try and make the move happen nice and quickly here. Whoa, down the inside we go. I think Liam Lawson wasn't expecting me to send it. We've got yellows. Please don't say that's Fernando Alonso. I think it might be George Russell that is going to be out of the GP, and I'm hoping a safety car now would be absolutely terrible timing for us in this race. Can't even see where Russell's stricken Mercedes has gone. I think he sent it to the Shadow Realm through those corners. But George Russell then, our first retirement of the night. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mercedes, for whatever reason, they always get mechanical issues here in Qatar. I don't know why it is, but it just always seems to be the case inside this game. As can we get a run then on Jack Doohan back in towards turn 1? No, we cannot. So he's going to try and get a run then on Esteban Ocon, who is going to come out on top in this scenario. I'm hoping we can find a way around the pair of them nice and quickly, as no, we cannot. Esteban Ocon there just kind of cut back in a little bit earlier than I was expecting. We'll get back on the road. A tiny bit of front wing damage. I think, actually, I don't think we did any damage at all there. I think it was just on the wheel.
Still looking good.
Yeah, sometimes it flashes up if you just put a sudden bit of wear through your through your tyres as well. But, I mean, look at that immediately. Not going to let that slow us down in this race. We will rock up to the back of them again. Get our way then up in towards Sector 3. Jack Doohan and Esteban Ocon still just in front of me. And, well, clearly we've got no front wing damage because we've just gone purple again through the middle sector. So let's try and just get a run to the inside of Jack Doohan, who wants to defend from me a little bit in towards those final corners. Esteban Ocon, though, no DRS for him. Surely will be a sitting duck. As I mean, how on earth is Verstappen still taking that set of soft compound tyres this deep into the Grand Prix? The AI, they're going to have a temporary huge advantage. But effectively, obviously, everybody has got one more pit stop, and we should enjoy better tyres throughout most of the race. Really don't want to spend too much time stuck behind Pierre Gasly through this middle sector, and you can see already just how much he's holding me up there. A little bit of a wobble from the Frenchman, so we will have to give him a slightly wider berth than I originally intended, but again, he's another one still on the soft compound tyre at the moment. It's Alex Albon, the next one on my old hit list. Don't know what the gap is between Alonso and Verstappen just in front of him, but I can only assume the Dutchman is going to be into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I assume most of our front runners are going to be into the pit lane at the end of this lap, as Alex Albon doing a very, very good job at the moment. Luckily, we will hopefully get to the inside of him with all of our extra grip, as Verstappen then in. So he has done staggeringly well on that set. I was not expecting him to go that far. We will set a new fastest lap of the day, but effectively now we've got to be a second a lap quicker than Leclerc if we want to beat him by the end. We need to be a second a lap faster than these cars in front of us, well, we need to be a second a lap faster than these cars in front of us, and this time round, we've taken 2 seconds out of Charles Leclerc then, as everybody into the pit lane. Alonso, we almost just pit manoeuvred my teammate then at the final corner. Back up into P1 though, we'll wait and see what the gap is like to Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. I'll be very interested to see if Verstappen's got an undercut on the pair of them as well in this GP, as Hamilton having to stay out there yet another lap. Lines are just starting to get a little bit sloppy at the moment, but we've got 11 seconds now ahead of the Australian. Well, we've got yellows. This will be a good time for a safety car for us at this stage of the Grand Prix, as one of those Haas cars seems to be breaking down. I would assume that's Esteban Ocon, and of course that does Alonso some good in the World Championship as well there. Is it a puncture? Is it a mechanical failure for SD Bestie? I think he's... Is he limping around? I think he is. So yeah, he's been able to make it to the pit lane then. But I don't know. Yeah, so it must have just been a puncture for him. I mean, this circuit is very, very abrasive on the tyres. I'm quite happy, though, at the moment. We are still pulling away from Leclerc and Piastri, despite the fact they're on fresher rubber. I know we're on softer tyres, but I was just hoping we could keep the gap level. Getting to our pit-in lap once again then, and those tyres looking very, very angry. Lando Norris is slowly moving his way back up through more of the back market cars at the moment. I got no idea whether he's going to have the pit again. Leclerc, though, he's built up a little bit of a margin now ahead of Oscar Piastri, as Verstappen has been closing in on the pair of them in these last few laps. But once again, Mark just reminding me that we need to dive into the pit lane. Try and go a little bit more aggressive on entry that time round. You know, every second counts at this stage of a Formula 1 World Championship. And, well, with Leclerc and Piastri fighting for the win there, my two big championship rivals as well. Leclerc will take the lead of the Grand Prix. But with 11 laps to go, surely we're going to be a threat towards the end of this race there, as Verstappen will move through past Oscar Piastri. I think we're going to have, yeah, a couple of seconds behind Yuki Tsunoda, so the gap isn't that big. I know Yuki's going to have to pit again. I think the key in these first couple of laps is just bring the tyres in nice and gently, because we need to go a second a lap faster right the way through to the end. Well, I've just tried to make sure that I've done the bare minimum to get in the range of Tsunoda this lap. Even though he's peeling into the pit lane, we will still claim the DRS then off of the Japanese driver. You can see we did take exactly 1 second out of Oscar that time, and we weren't even pushing too hard. I think my biggest hope...
By 6.3 seconds.
These guys need to fight up in front towards the end. And I'm just getting a little bit worried that Leclerc's keeping Verstappen at arm's length. Oh, there we go. Another new fastest lap of the day. 1.4 seconds taken out of Piastri that time round. And that should be a warning shot to those three in front. We are coming for them. There we go. We've got a Haas car coming into the pit lane then, so not too sure. That must be Esteban Ocon, mustn't it, after his puncture earlier on. Hopefully he's going to stay out of the way on pit lane exit from us, which he isn't. Come on, man. Move out of the way, please. Come on, what's he doing? Gotta just jump off the racing line, sir. That's going to cost us a few extra tenths to Piastri and Verstappen in front, as they do keep chopping and changing. That gap is really coming down. Oh, here we go. Verstappen now. He's finally got a run on Charles Leclerc down in towards turn 1. And, well, I was a bit worried that Leclerc was going to keep a big enough advantage over us towards the end of the afternoon. But now all three of them are fighting with 4 laps to go. That gap to Oscar Piastri under 2.5 seconds. We might only get 1 or 2 laps at it, but we should get to them by the end. Well, looking at the gap, Verstappen's already beginning to pull out then. I think Charles Leclerc went too quick too early on this hard compounded tyre. Tried to build up a margin, and it just hasn't really worked for him. I think he's still in the slipstream of Verstappen in front there, and Oscar Piastri having to bide his time, not going for a move just yet in this race. I've tried to count back through the field. I think if Verstappen were to win this and Lando Norris is finished where he is, Verstappen would win it on count back by virtue of having a 25-point lead at the top of the World Championship. I believe he has won more races than Lando Norris throughout the entirety of this season. But yeah, I'm hoping we can still win this race as we are now inside the range of Oscar Piastri. We've just got to save the battery for a lap or so. So we can actually try and push past. I mean, we've just got so much more grip than these guys at the moment. Able to throw the car over the curbs, able to carry the speed through the corners a lot more. But for the first time in a long old while here with the DRS, you can still see the Oscar Piastri able to romp away from me. He's actually going to try and have a look for a move on Leclerc this time round in towards turn 1. And will this just give Verstappen the breathing room he needs unless we can find a way through? Leclerc will hang on to the position for now, but these two really starting to cost each other too much. We have got to try and find a way past. This could be critical, not only for me, but also for Max Verstappen's World Championship hopes here, as we've got to try and use the grip advantage through the middle sector. A big send. Oh, we looked for it on Oscar. Tiny bit of front wing damage there, but that's all right. Luckily, only one more lap to go after this one, but we have to try and be brave. We have to try and start filling his mirrors here. In towards the final lap of the Qatar Grand Prix. The 1 versus the 2 stop. There has been nothing between them towards the end of the afternoon. Can we get a good run on Oscar up in towards the S's? No, we can't. The AI, they are always very, very good through here. We'll leave the car in 7th gear. Really try to attack the curbing. There's all the dirty air there. Just got a wash of understeer through the middle part. I think that front wing damage, oh, he's beginning to cost us. That was a terrible line. Down in towards the final corner, though. 1 more lap to go then here of the Losail Grand Prix. Can we try and use our battery now to get a run? Has Leclerc still got the DRS on Verstappen? Yes, he does. And we just have not got the straight line speed. Back in towards that first corner. Will Oscar Piastri again try to look for it? No, he won't. And are we not even going to finish on the podium here? There's just not really anywhere you can try and get by the AI around most of this lap, as you just see how much we're struggling now in the dirty air of that car in front. Normally, these ground effect cars are meant to be fantastic following the one in front, but today we are really, really struggling here. Can we try and go for the move we attempted last lap on Oscar Piastri? To the inside we will go. The Australian spots us there. We will get the car slowed down on the apex, but a huge amount of wheel spin on the exit. He's not the one I'm so worried about, though. It's Charles Leclerc in P2, as has Lando Norris potentially gained another spot here to keep his World Championship hopes alive, or are we going to see Verstappen claim it with a race to spare? This Aston Martin is all over the show. How on earth these guys have held on to their tyres, I've got no idea. But in towards the final few corners of the Qatar Grand Prix, Verstappen, I have no idea how he has made that strategy work on the soft to the medium compounded tyre. Through the final corners, though, Leclerc once again looks like he is going to beat us towards the checkered flag. But Max Verstappen, is this going to be a 5th straight World Championship for the Dutchman? Maybe.
Yes, come on, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. That's a great drive. Thank you.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
Well, another race victory today. You could clearly see they're driving out there with very little pressure. You know, they know they have the performance. They know they've got the car under them as well. And this has done no harm, of course, for their championship chances.
And once all the hard work is over, and after lap of brilliant racing, it's time now to celebrate with our podium trio. And for those that have missed the Dutch national anthem, fear not, it's back again, because Max Verstappen is back on the top step.
Well, there we are then. It looks like this World Championship fight will go to the season finale out in Yas Marina. Max Verstappen, though, will claim the sprint race victory from a ridiculous one-stop strategy. Charles Leclerc in P2, just ahead of myself and Oscar Piastri there. Happy we picked up a trophy at the end of the weekend, but a little bit disappointed. You know, that contact with Ocon, and then again him holding me up, could have been the difference between victory and defeat this afternoon. Alex Albon, a brilliant drive to P5 in the end, just ahead of Alonso. Norris, a great recovery to P7, just ahead of Hamilton, Gasly, and Yuki Tsunoda. Just one retirement, though. George Russell out of the GP. What does that do to our World Championship standings? Well, it means, yeah, Verstappen 23 clear of Norris. So Lando has to win in Abu Dhabi. Otherwise, it is going to be Verstappen with another World Championship to his name. 1 point in it between myself and Charles Leclerc, and Oscar Piastri as well, still in that fight for P3 by the end of the year as well. So plenty to look out for as we make it into our final race. Alonso will jump both Antonelli and Esteban Ocon this weekend, and hopefully he can stay there by the end of the next one as well. And you can still see just Hadjar and Bortoletto yet to score this year. McLaren, though, they have wrapped up the Constructors' Championship. They have done enough for that. Red Bull have guaranteed P2 just ahead of Ferrari. We have guaranteed P4 ahead of Mercedes. Williams and Haas, though, only 6 points in it between them. So that battle is going to rage on into the final race as well. I think that's probably the only battle that is semi-likely to change in our season finale. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon ready in Yas Marina.